What's up, Pirates? Wraith and Jim here with Awaken TCG, and today we have another video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about the losers of OP04. These are the new decks that aren't as lucky in OP04. These leaders definitely got the worst end of the stick for this new set, and so we're just going to talk about it. We're going to see some of the stats, and we're going to go ahead and, kind of just review it. So here, as you can see on the screen, we have uh, our list of leaders that aren't, the top end of OP04. So there's 6 leaders in total. It's the Croc, the Rebecca, Vivi, Isho, Dofi, Queen. So those are the new leaders. And then obviously we have the starter deck 10 leaders coming out, but we won't talk about those. We won't talk about those for now. We're going to start off with our first loser, and that is going to be Vivi. So Vivi is red blue with it's an effect that's kind of costly. 2 Dawn to draw 1 card, and then you give something rush. I feel like that's just, I think that it's too much. It's too much of a Dawn investment, especially early on, to even use that ability. And then having 2 Dawn to just draw 1 card also seems kind of bad when you have leaders like Rebecca, using 1 Dawn to draw 1 card, essentially. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Vivi?
See, not even to mention that Vivi can attack. Sure, it's a dual color leader with 5 life, but not being able to attack means you're going to have a amazing leader effect to back
Yeah.
it up. So this leads us to her leader ability, which is 2 Dawn, give rush, and draw a card. Draw a card is great, and give something rush is great, but to get value out of give something rush, the minimum Dawn investment you have to throw in, you have to play a card with at least 5k power because those are the only cards that are going to be able to swing into leader because even a 3 cost vanilla is only going to have 5k power.
Yeah.
So you need to spend 3 at least plus 2 to give it rush. That's already 5 Dawn. If you're at 10 Dawn, that's half your entire turn just to have a 3/5 be able to get rush that turn.
Yeah.
It's not worth the Dawn investment. It sounds good on paper at first. I think people were very excited for this leader, but it's just so costly and it's really awkward and it just doesn't work from what I've seen.
Yeah, definitely doesn't flow. And then red and blue are kind of like, obviously they're not clashing like some of the other dual color leaders like black and red garp, like they don't clash, but they also don't have as much cohesion together with that dual color setup, the blue red.
Yeah, I mean, blue's always going to be kind of a support color. So you think like red being like a main really strong color would be decent with blue. But it doesn't have tons of synergy. Sure, they don't clash, but VV decks always just seem like a weird hodgepodge of blue and red, like staples that don't always work together. I don't know. No one's found out how to make this deck work, and I don't know if anybody ever will.
Yeah, definitely underexplored in the Asia meta. We're gonna have to see, and maybe somebody does. Somebody cracks the code, and it's actually a cracked leader, but that's probably not the case. Anyways, moving on to the second leader that we think is a loser of OP04 is gonna be Isho. Isho is a green, black color, multicolored leader for life. It can attack, and then I feel like his effect is like Vivi's. It's very lackluster. So you put 1 Dawn on him, and then everything on the board gets -1. So it's like a mini Kuzan ability. So everyone for the turn is -1 cost, and so that allows you, to play your green cards, your KO this cost rested, and get some powerful KOs. But I think the issue lies there is most of green's removal has to be on a rested character. And yeah, you have cards that you can rest characters with, but it's too much of a Dawn investment having to rest a certain card and then on top of that KO it. And then one more thing to mention is his leader ability also allows you to pay 1 at the end of the turn and restand a 5 or less on board. So that's pretty good, right? Like is the Garp that KO something, is that a 5 drop or a 6?
Yes, it is a 5 drop.
So right, so you can play a Garp, discard a card, restand. Now he's not in harm's way. You can potentially combo with him afterwards. But yeah, still like even for that garp, you're still discarding a card, and so there's green and black don't have much card generation to start off with, and so eventually you just doing combos like that, you're just gonna run out of cards, and his leader ability is just not game changing.
Uh, yeah. See, when this card got revealed, I think everybody thought it was going to be the best of the new leaders. Attaching one Dawn to give -1 to every single enemy card seemed really good on paper, and then they gave it another ability, which you only have to tap one to restand a 5-drop, keeping your board safe. That just seemed nuts. But then when you think about the fact that, like you said, green KO effects are usually on arrested cards,
Mm-hmm.
which means you have to go through 3 steps to KO these cards. You have to first rest the card. You have to, secondly, cost reduce the card with a black cost reduce effect.
Yep.
And then third, you have to actually have the KO effect
Yeah.
that works
Yep.
perfectly. And that is just way too much to KO something when you have colors like red that just play strong cards and have a decent KO effect attached onto it.
Yeah. Or like blue, and you just bottom deck a 5 or less for 4 Dawn, right?
Exactly. You're just jumping through hoops just to get like a probably not even that great of a KO effect. I think the restand part is really strong actually. Like you can restand anything, or is it anything 5 or less?
Yeah, anything 5 or
Yeah.
less.
So if you run like a Bonnie searcher, right, you can always search with it and restand it to keep it out of harm's way. I mean, it's obviously going to be able to get KO'd like by a
Hmm.
Marco or like a Kobe in black and anything like that. But still, like stuff like that, I think is can make the leader kind of interesting
Yeah.
and try to keep hand advantage while you're trashing cards with black KO effects. Because I think black KO effects are where you want to go, just because that's what black already does.
Hmm.
And Isho just gives you a free cost -1. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, 100%. And then real quick, as you guys can see here, we talked about Vivi and how she's a loser. We have two this is One Piece top decks. This is for the whole OP04 meta that happened in Asia, and so it's just a big assortment of decks that got good placements, first place, second place, third place, etc. And so Vivi only had 2 tournaments, and even some of these go pretty far down in terms of like the amount of players in the tournament. I think the minimum is 32 players to be listed on this website. And
I've
so
seen some with 16.
okay. So so some of the tournaments may be very small, and so some of these numbers where it shows like 2 VV wins, like don't expect like they were they were crazy top 8 at a championship or a flagship, right? So Vivi had only 2 decks top in the whole
Yeah,
meta.
that's
And
even more sad. That's what 3 months of the OPO4 meta, and Vivi only has 2 decent placings. That's
yep.
really bad.
Yeah, really, really bad. Sucks to see because the VV Altart leader is so insane. And then we just talked about Isho now. Isho only had 3, right? So just one more. Again, very terrible. So now we're gonna get into our last leader. And actually, I've actually tested this leader extensively. It's Purple Yellow Croc. And so Purple Yellow Croc's effect is on your opponent's turn when attacking any Dawn minus effects, you can play a Dawn from your Dawn deck as active, basically nulling the Dawn -1 effect, and you get an active Dawn for the turn. So that's pretty good when it comes to defense, especially if you have like a drop Croc, you can Dawn -1, boom. Now you have an active Dawn to play with for some of your defensive events. But the deck is just too slow. It's too slow, and it just gets outpaced by other yellow decks, other purple decks. It's definitely a better on paper kind of leader, like kind of like how we just talked with the other two. It's like it sounds really good, but it's just when you put it into action, it's really bad.
Yeah. So I think the main issue with Purple Yellow Crocodile isn't actually the leader. I think it's the support that it got. If you look at some of these support cards, they are just like laughably bad. Like for example, Mr. Five, he's a 7 cost, 8,000 power with no counter, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So cards like these are going to need a really strong effect to back them up. And all this card does is on your opponent's attack once per turn, you can Dawn -2, which is very expensive if you're not at 10 Dawn already. I get Blue Yellow Croc is going to neg one of those and give you an active Dawn still. And then after you Dawn -2, you can KO up to one of your opponent's characters with cost 4 or less. So very niche. 4 or less doesn't cover a huge part of the card pool. Also, you have to rest the character, which means
Yeah.
you can't even attack with your giant 8K that you just played. So it's only going to be good on the turn you played the card, because obviously you can't attack with it that turn anyway. But
Yeah, very costly.
these are the terrible support it's getting. Some cards are decent, like Mr. Four, who can he's a decent blocker for the archetype. But a lot of the cards, like even the Searcher, is just bad.
Yeah, and I'll just pop up these cards probably right down below. You guys will see the cards right here that we're talking about. But yeah, very terrible support. You know, does not help that the leader ability is also not game changing. We are going to have a video where we talk about the 3 winners of OP04 for the 3 leaders, which are going to be Queen, Dofi, and Rebecca. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I mean, look, as we can see here, the stats show it. Crocodile only had three tops in the whole OP04 format for Asia, and so definitely those 3 decks are not something we're going to see too much of. And I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say that there might be 1 or 2 that do get a top 16 or a top 32 in a tournament, because it's always possible. You know, at the end of the day, you know, our format is best of 1, and so a little bit of luck can play into your favor, and if you have a good run, it's always possible. But yeah, these are definitely the losers of OP04. All right, Pirates, thank you so much for watching. This is going to be the end of this video. I appreciate you guys for all the support you guys have been showing. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, comment down below what your favorite OP04 leader is going to be, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.